Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Friday at the Learning Garage. Today, we will have the last workshop of our of this part of the project, and we will be able to give you also all the details regarding the next events, because the Learning Garage goes on until the month of May 2021. I'm really glad to present, together with the garagErasmus team, today's workshop, because the speaker is not just, let's say, an expert, just a speaker, but is somebody that really has the soul of a true Erasmus, because we have known each other for many, many years before our garagErasmus adventure started. And I think that Marco CILLEPI is really the person that can conclude the series of workshops of our Learning Garage. Carmen, ready to introduce our guest?
Yes, hello again. And yeah, we said that it is the last day of our garagErasmus, but we really hope you enjoy it as you enjoyed the whole week. And let's start. Marco here holds a master's degree in civil engineering from Politecnico di Milano. He also has worked at Capgemini, Poland since 2011, where he started as a technical and quality service engineer. And in October 2018, he became service delivery manager. He also describes himself as a team player and a highly motivated self-starter who is articulate, persistent, and outgoing. So we're looking forward to hear his experience, and let's start the presentation, Marco. And also, yes, if you have questions, you can just pop up in the chat here. Any questions that you have on the slide, we're gonna pose the questions during the presentation, so we're not gonna keep them at the end as we did before. So yeah, let's start.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Carlo and Carmen, for this intro. And I am, of course, extremely happy to be, today with you all with all the attendees. And of course, yes, I'm very proud to be also part of this Erasmus generation. So I'm very happy to talk with Erasmus students. And also I'm very happy to talk about this topic about, how will look like the switch from being a student, an Erasmus student, to start the professional work, the professional life, especially because we are ex-Erasmus, we expect also an international career. So this is, I think what we can also talk about. And my life, my example is that also after Erasmus, I started, getting more involved, and I went abroad for a job. And I am now living in Poland since 9 years, as Carmen was saying, working for Capgemini in Poland, where I built a career, I grew as a professional, but also I always remember where I come from. So from this Erasmus generation. And today we are gonna talk together, guys, how to prepare for an interview. So what should be, this mindset, or these, common questions that we can actually, think about in order to not find ourselves unprepared for our first interview. So this is what I would like to emphasize. There will be always a first flight for a pilot. There is always a first drive for a driver, but there is also a first interview for a job seeker, also for a student like you. So let's start from there. Let me share my my desktop. I would appreciate if Carmen, you can confirm when it's possible that everybody see it.
I see it personally. I think it works.
Okay, great. So as I was saying, guys, let's prepare now. I'm also doing interviews. I am, checking and choosing my team, right, and my current work, and for the foundation, because I'm also running my garagErasmus for Silesia here in Poland. So it's very important to understand not what the candidate can do, because when we are looking for a junior, so just graduated, we cannot expect so much experience, but we usually make some kind of questions that are more focused into the skills, right? The attitude of this candidate. So what I would like to to comment with you are certain topics. So it maybe will be a little bit more of 20 questions. So let's try to to see how many we can do in 2 hours. And of course, every time you will have some question, Carmen, you have the right to interrupt me. And at the end of every slide, I can try to take them. We call these questions based on your competency, right? And there are basically 8 main areas that we as managers, we as recruiters, we are checking in a candidate. So the first thing, very important, especially for you that you are a student, is about learning and self-development. So it will be about the way you prove, you can explain your learning skills. Okay, and you will see which kind of question we should prepare. Then the exercise I will recommend you is really to prepare. So take some notes and prepare to answer those questions, because when you are training to answer those questions, be sure that it will be hard to get this question you don't expect, because you will learn the approach, you will learn the attitude to answer questions. So of course, another topic is collaboration. So the way you collaborate with others, that nowadays it's very important. And remember, guys, that everybody's putting on the CV, working in team, working under pressure, but then we should be also able to explain and motivate why we think that we are able to work under pressure. So let's remember, it is not always just a sentence in the CV. Not everyone is willing or happy to work under pressure, right? Or able to work under pressure. Initiative, it's another skill that nowadays it's very important. So somebody who is also an initiator, willing to take initiative and willing to take new challenges. Another important skills is about time and task management, that for many jobs in this current situation in the market, it's important, because we have there is no more, according to my experience, one task job. Now this one task job are done by robot. We have an automation that is doing this boring tick, 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 tick. Now the human being is dedicated to do a value task. So it's very important the way we are managing our time and the different tasks. Of course, for certain job, analytical problem solving is very important when we have a problem. And it's not only about numbers, guys, it's also about analytical mindset. The analytical approach. I am an engineer, so I am very grateful to my studies to get this analytical approach, but everyone can have it or can practice it and can improve it. Another thing that we may have chance to talk or not is about the value you bring to the client or to our service. So this is maybe something that is a bit more related to somebody with experience, but for sure, for you, the client is also your professor in the university that is requiring you to do a project work. So you can look at this, work like your client. So you are providing a service in this project to deliver to your professor. Communicating and influencing others. So communicating is important for everyone. Influencing others is very important also for those of you who has also some leadership skills or who would like to become a manager, a leader in the future. So an important skill is how we can influence the team, guide and drive them. And last but not less important, of course, motivation. Because one very important thing that we are checking now in candidates is really what is the real motivation behind this job application. Because some people, they are applying for different kind of job because maybe they don't know yet what they want, and this is fine. But of course, if you are applying for a company and in the same company you're applying for 5 different roles, somehow you are showing that you are a bit confused. You don't really want something in particular, and you probably don't know yet what you want. That it's a condition. It's not It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but at the same time, guys, every time you apply for something, you need to understand, even for these 5 different jobs, what motivates you to do that job. Okay, so you need to look inside your inner self and understand why I would like to work in project management, why I would like to work as a sales representative or report analyst, everything, right? So the motivation is something that can be, you know, your the company that motivates you, can be the task, can be different things. So this is the overview. I will say, let's start, okay, with the first question, and about learning and self-development. So one thing you may be asked is, for sure, always open question. Tell me about a time when you had to learn something new very quickly. So this is something, you know, it tells to the recruiter your way to learn things. And sometimes in your job you will be asked to learn something quickly because there is not enough time, or because there is a business need. So think about a time in your university when, for example, there was something that popped up at the last minute and you had to learn it. And this will help you know, to explain to the recruiter your, let's say, your reactiveness and your promptness to new challenge. If no questions, I will move to the next slide. Tell me again about a time when your curiosity helped you to resolve a problem. Okay, so in this case, we are checking how curious you are. And behind this is not only about the learning, it's also about motivation. So if you are interested in some topic, then you are motivated and you are also curious. Okay, so look back and think, when happened that, you know, thanks to your curiosity, you were able to solve this specific problem. So this is also another good example. I will move next. Tell me about a time when you took on the challenge of a new or unfamiliar task or responsibility. So with this kind of question, they are also checking your skills, your approach in working under a non-standard environment or a non-standard situation. Because this task, it may be something new, or this responsibility is something, you know, you are backing up a colleague or you get a promotion and it's something new. And how did you behave? And again, this is something that can be related with maybe something you did at the university, or maybe something that you did during your internship, because maybe you had some internship, or maybe some, you know, association work, or maybe some, you know, extra curricular activity. So really don't just focus on university, that is of course the main source, but think as well about anything else that can be a side job, can be even some project you did with your family or with your friends. Okay, so try to widen your mind and look for, you know, examples. So don't give up with the classic I don't have examples. So remember that, you know, when you're doing an interview, you have time to think about that. And if you don't have, take it, because you need to have your time. Think. You can answer, let me think, and reply. But if you're preparing this in advance, it will work better, right? You will be more prepared, and it will be easier for you to pick up examples or situation of your life. Another question: describe a situation that demonstrates your ability to apply newly learned concept to a new situation you faced. So you see, it's deepening what we already mentioned. So something new that you just learned applied in some new situation. And I can talk about my experience. I am just completed a manager program. It's called Connected Manager. And really, I was studying it. I was taking the theory, and I was immediately able to apply it in the real life. So for me, it was great. It was like taking a training, taking a learning module, and immediately be able to apply. So this is just basically the perfect situation, because you can really see the concrete application. and think about if this happened with you in some situation, right, in your past. So we are completed with the learning and self-development part. Do we have any questions?
From what I see, no,
Okay,
not yet.
great. So I will move forward to the second session, that is about collaboration. So collaboration, of course, with your colleagues, with your team, with your let's say with the stakeholders around you. So describe a period. So think about a period when you made an extra effort to build a strong relationship with others inside or outside this organization. So this can be really a project work, but can be even, I don't know, a YAF program that you did in 10 days when you had really to quickly build some relation with the other participants in order to fill the project expectation. It can be something you have done during your Erasmus. So in general, is really thinking, you should think about some example where you had to really made an effort, right? So not something standard, but something, you know, it was really thanks to your extra effort that you built this relationship, and how you did it. So the question are always this: how it happened. So this is really what we need to hear from you, and this can be, you know, something within the organization you are, so the university or the association, but also outside. So also wide your horizons there. Another thing that you can, another item that you can think about is describe a time when you gave up something important to you to help someone else. So this is really something, you know, it says, it talks about you, right? So you will learn, guys, that time is a very important value. And sometimes we don't have enough time to do all what we would like to do. And we need to take decisions. We need to make choices. And how do we take these choices? I think we should always think about what is more important. So which are the priorities, but you should also think which are the priorities for you that may not be the same for somebody else. Okay, so this is important to really check on these, you know, priorities, and then also explain maybe your attitude. So for example, you didn't deliver on time because a colleague of yours was really struggling, and you put this, you know, as a priority to help your colleagues to deliver, and then you delivered with 1 day of delay, for example. Or you could have done, you know, excellent work, but maybe you just did a good work because you dedicate this extra time to somebody else. It shows your also team attitude, teamwork, and it's a great value. It doesn't mean that, you know, we need to find excuses for not delivering, but it talks about you. So maybe this is something, you know, you would like to mention. Describe a specific action. So what you can already see, guys, that it's all those questions are about real life examples. So we don't really want to know so much about what you know, because what you know, you will show, or you will learn what you need to know. What we are looking now, it's really what you have done in terms of the way you are thinking, the way you are acting as a human being. This is really, for me, very important. Describe a specific action you have taken to promote a cooperative team environment, even when others around you were negative or uncooperative. And I'm sure when you look back, you may find some examples of some colleagues not really motivated or not really dedicated like you to the goal of the project. So what you have done to fix this problem? What you have done to change the trend when maybe everybody was upset, everybody was tired, or not really, you know, motivated? This is not only about collaboration. This, if you think about, it's also talking about initiative. So you were the initiator. He also talks about leadership. You were the leader who took care of the team. How you did it? very important also examples that can help the audience to know you, to understand which kind of person you are.
So Marco, we have actually one question from Davide. So how
Yeah.
many of these questions are usually done in a single interview?
I will say definitely not all of them, Davide, so no worries, because usually an interview is taking 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, the real interview, okay? The one important with the manager. But for sure, my recommendation is prepare for all of them, because this will be kind of training for you, so to think the right way, and also you will have, you know, this quick answer when you get these questions. I think during an interview you can get maximum maybe 4, 5 of these questions, so maybe it will be one for each topic. Okay, then of course it depends also on the environment of the kind of job. Usually the interviews, they should look like 2 parts. The first part should be about you talking and answering this kind of question. The second part actually should be the company presenting you the job, telling you more details, and giving you the opportunity to ask questions. Because, you know, I always say when there is an interview, it's not, you know, a unilateral decision. It's you that applied for a job and also, you know, wants to know more about this company, because you have options as well. So it's, for me, it's like a wedding, like it's like a date. You need to like each other to move forward, and maybe it will be, you know, a fruitful relationship. So never have this mindset, I hope they will choose me. No, it's not like this. You should be hoping that you both parts like each other and choose each other. So this is really important for me. So I hope I answered David's question.
And we have
I
one.
see, yeah.
Sorry, we have one more comment. That I don't have any questions. Just want to say that this typology of interview is illuminating for the typologies we've used to do nowadays. So it's a thankful comment.
Okay, great, positive comment.
Marco, I would also like to briefly ask you something.
Go ahead.
Because I have to say that actually a few months ago, years ago, I had to have some friends to prepare for interviews, and they told me about these questions, and they said, well, this is a kind of new way to interview people, to interview candidates. So this is what nowadays, to be prepared in a proper way for an interview, it's really important to also make exercises to prepare yourself on these questions. In the case that we are facing a first interview and we do not have lots of experience, you said that we could, let's say, relate our answers to other experiences that we had, like in civil society, organization. Could you a little bit focus on this point as well? Like, what kind of experiences would you get to touch when we don't have already a lot of working experience in our background?
So for me, it could be really anything related with some project university, because I hope that nowadays the university is also requiring some practicing skills. So like some project work where we were maybe 3, 4 people working together. It can be, as I was mentioning, you know, if you do association, or even, guys, if you organize an event, even a little event, it can be even a party. Okay, you're organizing it, you're booking the venue, you are looking for, I don't know, the drinks. This is coordination, this is logistic. So it's not a work, it's not you know, maybe something worth that you will add in your CV. But when it's about look back at your life experience, it can help you. Even, you know, some people say, I was only working as a waiter in a restaurant. This is an experience, because in the waiter you are facing clients, you are dealing with money, you are dealing with, you know, a stressful environment, because you are standing and walking all the time. You have some shift, you are working with other waiters, with the chef, with the, you know, cashier, with the maid. So all these little experience that maybe we tend to underestimate, or to maybe even sometimes things, oh, I will not even mention, it can help. So for me, this is maybe the suggestion I would go. So any little things like little event or little activity, or even sport activity, you have your hobby. Your hobbies can be useful for you because you're organizing a football match, a volleyball tournament, or again any volunteer activities you're doing with people, but also with dogs or with elderly people. Really, anything that is part of your life, it's worth to use and to think about when we need to prepare for this kind of questions and for this interview model.
I would feel then that also the ability to try to respond to the question, even if we didn't have a lot of experience, is going to be evaluated by the interviewer.
Is going to be evaluated, and of course I will also add, there is no wrong question. The good thing, guys, there is no wrong question, wrong answer, because you're talking about yourself. It's about you. You are this person. So if the answer is not what the recruiter would like to hear, it means you are not the right fit for the job, and it will be fine. You will go for another one. So don't be just afraid or shy, because you need to be yourself, because then you need again to date and like each other. So I really recommend to be very transparent and honest, to find don't be afraid, because there is no wrong answer to this kind of question.
Thank you, Marco.
Welcome. Good. So I will move forward with this current slide. So describe a specific action you have. So this is something we already mentioned. So the next one. Tell about a time you had to read intentions on a group in order to successfully reach a goal. So this is, for example, another soft skills question that will help you to explain to the recruiter, to the managers, to your potential employer, which are your skills in terms of, I will say, sixth sense, how you can read the intentions. And an example can be, for example, that maybe you had to talk one-to-one with one of your colleagues because this person was not really cooperative, and you felt that it was maybe driving opposite to the goal. So you need to you understood it and you took it apart and you say, what is the problem? How can we fix this? So this is also showing again leadership, and this looking for the wealth, for the good of the team. So you see, every question is not directly linked to only one area, but is telling you about different skills of yourself. And we are done with the part about collaboration. Do we have other questions, Carmen?
No.
Great.
No, we don't have any questions.
So I will move forward with this third section about initiative. Okay, so this is an easy one, right? Tell me about a time when you were the first person to act on the situation. Okay, so maybe some of you will say, I was never the one. I was never the first. But then try to to make it, to think, to dig a bit more, because even when you have, I don't know, some family meeting and somebody's asking who is going to buy the sweets, the dessert, or who is gonna order the food, and you are volunteering for that, it's something, right? Maybe it won't be really so much significant, but it's showing proactiveness, it's showing willingness to do for the community, for the group. So I'm sure that you may have chance to find some episode, because it's again, you should think about what you like, and when you like something, you're driving in the direction, so you're organizing it, you are trying to be the first to initiate something. So this is, I think, an example. Or like, for example, when there is a brainstorming and you are the first one putting on the table the idea, right? Sometimes it's also happening, so you are the one saying, this is what we should do, and maybe people like the idea and go for that. So try to think also in this direction. Tell me something similar. Tell me about the situation when you took initiative to do something. So it's pretty similar to the previous one. Or tell me about a time when you proposed a new solution. So this is maybe for some engineer studies, or from some, when you're working on your final thesis, that you need to build something new, right? So this is telling about your creativity, about your, again, proactiveness. So a new solution, something that was not tried before, and you put there as a first person, it tells about you. So try to really ask yourself this, because it tells about you. Maybe not all the job needs this skill, but it's good to check if we have these skills or not, and if we want to go for that or not. Tell me about the time when you had to change your approach rapidly due to new circumstances. So this is more delicate, it's more sensible, and I like these things because it also shows not only initiative, but also it shows your flexibility. It shows your adaptability, how you can adapt to something rapidly. Okay, so this is, for example, when think about you are 3 people working and some person gets sick and you need to do the job for this person, or a person resign or give up, or for example your professor changes his mind. I'm sure that if you're working with some on the final work at the university, what I hear from my friends, from my students, is that the professors are very dynamics, let's say this way. They change their mind very quickly, and you need to change and you need to adjust and to adapt. This is a very good skill researched in the market nowadays, changing your approach rapidly. So if first, for example, you are in favor of something, then due to some new factors, you may change your mind. So remember, guys, nowadays, change is the only constant. Change is something we need to look at, that it will always be, because it's the technology is running, the human also mindset is changing, and you can see it. And now with this pandemic, so many things change, right? Our approach to work, the smart working, the all these, new business popping up, and many business shutting down or changing completely their model. So this is something, nowadays it's very, very important. So think very carefully about this. Think, and we are good. We're done about initiative. I don't see questions, right? So I will move to the next part about time and task management. Okay, yeah. So time task management, very, very important, interesting, and you will learn that time is a value that is much more important even than money. Okay, because I always say money doesn't make happiness. It's not a stereotype, it's true. Because when you will spend 18 hours working and you will not have time for yourself, there will be not a work-life balance. You will not find really, I believe, yourself there. And then of course it depends on the period of your life, but to properly handle your time according to how many tasks you have on your desk, on your table, it's very important. So the first thing you can think about is think back to the most complex task or project you have had to develop a plan for. So really look about, some hard situation, hard project, when you had to, maybe start from the scratch, or build new solutions, or coordinate with other people, with other departments, with other association. This will show, and then the question you will get will be how you did it, how you managed, how you behaved. These are the questions that you need to be ready to answer and to explain. Another thing that will tell about your time and task management, but also will tell about yourself, about what you like, what makes you happy. Please describe the most satisfying project that you performed. For somebody, this will be something that was, for example, when we won the championship with my team. So it will tell that you are a person that like the competition, that like, to win something together. but for somebody else can be a solo project. So this maybe means that you are more a project manager, more a freelance kind. Okay, so when you're answering this question, you are not only just simply answering this question, you are also telling which kind of person you are, what you like, what makes you happy. And me, when I need to hire a person, I don't have to be selfish. Just, okay, he's a good person, I take. I need to worry about what this person really like, because if this person will not really like what he's gonna do in my company, he will leave me. He will work unhappily. And we don't want this, because an unhappy person is not delivering, is not performing like we would like. So really think also this way and tell to your manager or to your future employer what you like, because this is really what makes the difference. I see a question.
Yes, it's from Erika Girola. So she asked, can we also talk about things we have achieved in high school?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know, I mean, how much time ago we're talking about, but for me, high school is, you know, a very important period of for somebody at the university. It's very important. So maybe during I remember me personally, when I was at the high school, I was organizing a football tournée in Sweden. So with my team from Sicily, we were going to Sweden, and I was involved. And this is something, you know, it's worth to mention. So this is something I think relevant, but it can be even smaller. Definitely, yes. Don't be too narrow. High school, definitely a good moment to look at when it's about this kind of question.
Yes, thank you. That's all.
Okay, no other question. I see some other something else popping up.
Yeah, there were some comments that again from Erika that she
Okay,
thanks you for the question.
okay,
And, yeah.
great. So I will move forward. Please describe a situation that demonstrates your ability to effectively plan work by breaking it into process steps and then communicating that plan to those involved. So this is a bit more structured, so I would really go step by step. So when you will start working, as I said, the job can be also complicated. These jobs really one task job are disappearing because robots are doing that. So sometimes you will have, you know, a big process to handle. And also you can think about these events or these, you know, traveling, or there is, you know, booking, traveling, doing the event. There are steps. So hiring managers, companies, they evaluate this, you know, ability to plan, so to design some activities, also step by step. So it's also showing your analytical approach. So you see different sides of the same episode. So for me, this is really, I really like this question because it tells me how this person is working, how this person is organizing him or herself, how this person is, you know, thinking. So this is for me a very concrete questions, and I believe it should not be so hard actually to look at this when you look at your, you know, university life or anything else, because it's really talking about your how you approach a project, a work. And you, I'm sure you even studying for an exam, when you have a big book to handle, you can tell before I read it, then I take notes, then I review my notes, then I break down by, you know, with post-it. This is something, guys, that you can also say your approach to a process that can be a learning process or a working process.
We
I
have
see
another.
something on the.
Yes, we have another question from David. How long should be our answers?
Should be short. Okay, definitely should be short. So try to stick always to maximum 5 minutes, in my opinion. And again, if you are prepared, you will be more fluent. You will be, you know, more self-confident answering this question. Then, of course, you know, don't take too big topic or too complicated examples. Synthesize Okay, make it, short, because then, based on your answer, you can get some deeper questions, because maybe your answer is interesting. So I will say really 5 minutes, but even less, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, so try to be always synthetic. And my recommendation: prepare, train. When you train it, you even check your time. It will help you to be, prepared. And recently I did an interview, and this person I was interviewing, she was really the most prepared person I was talking with. She was really, self-confident. She didn't need to think too much. She was just very, the communication was flowing very naturally, and it was clear to me that she prepared herself. So even if she had no experience at all in that project, in that work, I've offered the job, and she has taken the job, because you could see how motivated and how prepared she was for the interview. And my hiring manager experience was great. And I believe there was the same for her, because she took the job. So this is an example I can give to you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
If no more question, I will move forward. Good. Please describe a situation when you prepared a plan for an action, but due to unexpected circumstances, you had to change your approach. This is another another question that I love, because it's telling about this person attitude in being flexible, in adapting to a new unexpected circumstance. What I'm telling to my team every time is, don't let the events guide you, but try to guide the events. Okay, so when we are owner of the situation of the project, we try to control the events and make things happen. When we are just victims of things happening around us and we don't take ownership, it's very hard that we will finalize it successfully, the project or the circumstance. So for me, it's always about, and another thing I'm always saying is about, guys, we need to plan something. Then it doesn't mean that it will end up like we're planning, because there are some things we cannot plan, like, again, somebody sick, or some change of client expectation, or some external factor like a pandemic. Right? So even when we are doing a plan, we need always to be ready to change it and adjust it, and maybe expect a different output. And I think that when you look at this last year, even this Erasmus experience, right? You were imagining maybe your Erasmus in a different way. You need to adjust to different way of learning, to different expectation. So this is, I think, not so difficult. It's easy, when you look at this pandemic, how you adapted to new way of learning, new way of interacting, new way of growing as a student as well.
We have one question from Clara, but I'm not sure I kind of understood it. So she says that previous question, was she prepared in general in answering this kind of questions, or more because she studied the job position deeply?
So in my opinion, you need to, I'm not sure I'm answering it and I'm understanding it. Maybe you can clarify more in the chat, but so you need to be prepared for the job description. So this example maybe I was mentioning, being prepared for the job description, it will help you gaining confidence and showing your motivation, understanding why you think this job is the good one for you, and which are the reasons behind. So what we should always do should be preparing very well on the job description, being aware, understanding what does it mean, and at the same time look at these questions we are reviewing today together. But for sure, when maybe you're mentioning about this episode of my interview, definitely she was preparing very well with the job description. Did I answer the question?
Yes, she said, okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, so I will move to the next one. Okay, so the next one is already about the section number 5, analytical problem solving. So we are done with time and task management. So these last two questions I think are really important. So I would say these are a must-do questions or must answer question. So let's talk about analytical problem solving. This is, so analytical is again not only about numbers, it's also and especially about mindset. Problem solving is because every job there will be something that some problem can be a real problem with colleagues, some psychological problem with some interaction with people. So there are a lot of problems that can happen. Okay, so the question is about a question you can get is about, tell me about a situation when you had to make a decision based on limited information. And this is happening very often sometimes. And it's like the previous question, like when you need to plan something, but of course you cannot predict how the client will react, you cannot predict how the market will react, or you cannot predict if this tool will really work as you expect. So sometimes we have limited information. In this case, we need to make assumptions. Okay, so what will be very important is making some assumptions on, I suppose, I expect this to work like this. And maybe you can create a flow, if yes, if not. So a situation when you had to decide maybe a life decision. So this is really not about work. It can be not about work. It can be about when you decided to go on Erasmus. It can be when you decided to take a flat instead of another, or when you decided to study this subject instead of this other subject, or pick a course instead of another. So I think there are a lot of examples we can think about. So we never have really all the information on the table. We are very lucky when it's really a full picture on the table that we can really take a clear decision based on what we like. This kind of question is also talking about yourself. Okay, the way you take decisions is also talking about what do you think is right and what do you think is wrong. So it's talk about you as a again, as a psychological profile, as a human being. Give me an example of a time when you had too much data and not enough time to review it. So this is a bit more analytical, and it also shows your attitude also when you are under stress, right? Because sometimes you have, I don't know, a lot of information. It can be a lot of client details, or it can be really a lot of options. And maybe you cannot check deeply one by one. So what will be your mental approach to review this situation, to take a decision? Okay, so to solve this problem. So in this case, something that comes to my mind, it can be the way you are again breaking up the process and grouping this data, so that you will create some subgroup and maybe make some generalization in order to get the meaning from this data. Okay, and when it's not enough time, then you need to also look on priorities. What is more important? And take a decision. Okay, sometimes we need to decide that this is more important than something else, and go for that. And you will tell to the company which are your values. If you are a person that believes more in the ideal or in the being concrete, it's really telling about your psychological profile. So there are also a lot of tests on the web that tells you which personality you have. There is this color personality, the red personality, the blue personality. I advise you to check, if you're curious about this, check on the web and check which kind of person you are, right? Okay, I will move to the next. Give me an example of a time when you had analyzed a challenging topic or an issue and needed to come up with your summary analysis. So this is also an episode, an example of your skills of synthesis, of summarizing, or in other words, not getting lost. not let the event or the complexity of a task take control of you. You should take control on the task, right? So challenging topic, challenging issue, big problem, how you analyze it. And what I always say is, when something is not working, we should not, and we should never jump directly to the solution. And if this will be an open topic, I would ask you what you will do, but maybe we don't have time, or maybe we can give a little test. So guys, maybe you can use the chat for that. What do you think is the first thing we should think about, or we should check when we need to analyze a challenging topic or a problem? So I can tell you already that go straight on the solution is for sure not the right approach. Any comment?
No, we don't have any until now.
So I will maybe give 10 seconds to the people to.
Yes, so we have one from Martina, trying to understand it. One from Julia, check dimension of problem.
Very good. So very good. So try to understand it. Exactly. We need to understand. We need to make sure that we understand what really this problem means before to think about a solution. The sides, very good. Also, the sides, the impact of this problem on people, the impact on this problem in the company or in the process. Anything else?
We have another one, understand underlying issues, check the possible ways to achieve the solution, try to get what are the expectations.
Okay, one thing, so now I think I can also tell, for me guys, one of the most important thing on which we should build our solution is the root cause. So we should understand how this problem happened, how it pop up, and this will also help us to deliver a solution. But if we don't, it's like, you have a leakage on your bathroom. Yeah, you can put some gum, you can put some stickers, and there will be no more water, but still there is an issue there. If you don't fix the issue, sooner or later your flat will be flooded. So I think this example can give an idea. Okay. Do we have any other comment or questions?
And we have, yes, we have one question from Mikal. He asked, could you give us an example, how would you answer that question? But I think you mentioned.
You mean this question? So definitely, I think that really a challenging topic or issue, and we need to come up with something else. For me, it's always about why this happened. What is the root cause? Okay, so investigate, maybe breaking down step by step the process or the fact. So, and guys, it's not about blaming who did it. So remember, this is never helping who is the bad guy. No, it's not really. Also from the team building perspective, it's not the right approach. How it's always never, it's never who, it's always how. How did it happen? What didn't go how it was planned to be? Okay, so root cause, then impact, so sides. Then when we have this awareness, this understanding, okay, how we can fix it? On which stage? Then it can be, a short-term fix, a mid-term fix, or a long-term fix. And then it's about talking together and understanding, maybe involving somebody else, what is the best. And of course, seeking for advice. So never be afraid or shy to ask for help to your colleagues, to your leader, to your friends, to your coach. This is really, really important. Okay. I see something. Yeah.
It was like the last comment made by, by Jacopo, saying that understand, think, pros and cons, and decide the best. So practically making an analysis. And then we have a question from Francesca. Could you give an example of a practical situation?
I can think, for example, about something maybe about my job, right? So for example, we have a new joiner, and this new joiner, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks of training, is not passing the the certification. Let's call it this way, right? So in this case, I have to meet with the trainers, with team leader, and I need to ask them what went wrong. Okay, because when somebody is not a new joiner, is not passing, for example, a certification, it means is not getting the knowledge. We can by mistake say, okay, he's bad, but it's not the right approach, because this guy is a new joiner. We should understand he's coming from outside. He went through a learning path. So the right approach in this case, what I will do with my team, will be to sit with this guy and understand why it went bad. So understanding the root cause, as I was saying, and then maybe I will find out that it was too much stuff. He received so many information without having enough time to sit and study and digest this. And it was every day training. So it get flooded, and it was maybe too shy because no one came to him and asked, how are you? How do you feel? How is going? Because maybe we are all too busy. Okay, so in this case, the solution will be to change the training approach, to be more careful in one day checking instead of weekly checking. So this is maybe the way how I will take care of this challenging topic, because the fact that this person is not able to work is impacting me, is impacting the team, because we need this person to work. So you see, it's not only impacting himself and his motivation because he failed, but it's also impacting everybody else. And we could do better, having a different approach. But if we don't do the mistake, we don't discover. So it was about its life telling us and giving us chance to learn. I hope somehow I was able to help you with this example. Okay, I don't see. Yeah, maybe. Carmen, do we have?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. Only Martina said thank you for the answer. So
okay, so I hope this example was helping you guys to better understand, and also to look at yourself and things about situation, right? Where you can bring up an example as well. Okay. Give me an example of a situation when you solved a problem that other people couldn't. So sometimes, guys, I like modest people. I try, and I hope to be a modest person. I don't like to, for example, to be the one, saying myself I'm good. Because it's not really, I think a value. But of course, like everybody else, I think we like to be praised, right? To be recognized, to be rewarded. So during an interview, remember to not underestimate yourself. Of course, be careful, be self-confident, but don't be arrogant. Okay, because this is self-confidence and arrogance are really close each other. Okay, and this is a good one. You can tell to the potential employer, the potential manager, a situation when you were better than somebody else, that you solved the problem. And remember that it's not about other people being bad. Focus on you. Focus on you, on your let's say positive part, and not about my colleagues were bad. It's not really, it doesn't sound very well, right? Okay, so this is it, guys, for the part about the analytical problem solving skills. So here is a bit about client value and service excellence. So this is maybe some terminology that it doesn't sound so familiar for you yet, at least. But as I was saying, look at the client like your employer, like your colleague, like the person you are working for or you are delivering the project to, and service is what you're doing and the quality of the work you're doing. Okay, so describe a time when you exceeded the client expectation. So for example, when you were asked to do I don't know, a certain project and you actually overachieved the expectation. So you were supposed to bring, I don't know, a certain number, so 60% of these results, and thanks to your approach you were able to make 80%, something like this. So it will tell also about your skills, right? Your how good you are doing something and how good you are in in being on time and being quality oriented, because also this is another skill of you that will be evaluated, your efficiency in delivering something, in delivering a project. And staying on this trend, please give me an example of a particularly good quality service, one that you're really proud of. So in this case is about any job, any situation when you were doing something and you were proud of yourself because of the quality and because of the output of this job. So for me, really, this is again another question that it tells a lot about your personality. It tells about which kind of person you are. And remember, guys, we are all diverse. And when we look around the international environment, we are even more diverse, because we are diverse because of our experience, because of our culture, and then of course nationality and age and gender and a lot of other things. And nowadays, a company that is the more diverse, the better, because more opinion, more feedback, and all the companies now tend to be diverse because the value it will be higher. So for sure, again, don't be afraid, don't be shy, and tell what makes you proud, okay, or what made you proud in the past, in every level, in every environment. So it doesn't have to be really about work. It can be about work, but it can be about your friends, it can be about your family, it can be about your hobby, your volunteer work, really everything. Please give me an example of a situation where you felt the client customer was asking too much. So you, or the professor, of your friend, of your father, your mother, right? And I would add, and how did you behave, right? So this is also telling to your potential employer not only how you deal under stress, how you deal with uncomfortable situation, and no employer will be able to promise you that there won't be uncomfortable situation at work. If they will, they're lying. So you should start doubting about this company. Okay, there will be always a moment when it's too much. And for me, and I think that I'm working a lot with my team, with my top performer, because in a team there are always these top and bottom performer. So the one that will always like to do more and will always do more and will be always being great in what they do, and the one that they're maybe not so motivated, not so enthusiastic, so maybe a bit more bottom performer. For me, sometimes an issue that is happening is that a top performer, a person that is an initiator, a person that is willing to do more, he has this limit that is not able to raise his hand and say it's too much. And then this is very, very tricky, guys, because you don't want to disappoint your client, your customer, so the person that is expecting for you something. But then if you don't have this maturity and self-understanding, self-awareness to tell this is too much, maybe you will deliver a bad quality work, and then it will be also impacting you because you will disappoint the person, right? So it's better to tell it in advance and say, I am afraid that this may be too much. Let's find together solutions. If you have a good person on the other side, he will understand you and you will find together a solution. So we as hiring managers, we want to understand, right? What is also your limit? Because, you know, this is also telling you about your capacity. Because imagine that you are just saying, I was supposed to do a task, then got another task, and I was under stress and I was not able to deliver. It was too much. If I know that the job you're going to do with me, it's 10 tasks every day, I will tell you that. And maybe we will realize together, very honestly and transparently, that we are not made to work together. And this will be fine. No one will fail. Nobody will waste time because we met each other and we learned from this talk. So really, again, try to know yourself. Try to, you know, self-assess, you know, dig into yourself and try to think about some example like this.
Marco, imagine
Yes.
that you are at an interview and the question you're asked is exactly this. Could you give me an example of a situation where you felt that the customer was asking to you too much?
Yes, I could say thousands of this because I mean I work in
yeah. Try to tell us just one example of how you would answer, for example, to this.
Yeah, so for me, you know, this is something, you know, it's always about setting up expectation, right? So sometimes, you know, the business is changing and you need to still to provide the service. So for example, it can be like a launch of new website. And, you know, when there is a launch of a new website, it's like a lot of, for example, translations that are needed, a lot of proofreadings, a lot of, you know, double checking. And when this is coming all together, the first thing that, you know, and then you don't have even enough people, enough time for that. The first thing I'm doing, I'm really, you know, immediately raising my hand and say, okay, these are 10 tasks. What is more important? So I try to find together with the, you know, the other person asking too much, what is more important for you? This or this, and together build a priority plan. And I can commit to deliver, for example, priority 1 and priority 2, the really same day, priority 3 and 4 the day after, and, you know, break up the delivery in this way. And of course, guys, it's about telling them. Another situation, if for example, you cannot really tell because of some circumstance, then you will need to look inside and maybe ask for help internally. So I would, in my life, ask people to make some extra hours, okay? But of course, explaining them why they need to make some extra hour, or I will tell to my guys, stop doing this, it's not so important. Now we need to focus on this other priority. So I would always, you know, self-assess. But for me, again, communication is the key. Okay, so agreeing together. When you agree together on something, you don't disappoint the other person.
So we have one question from Francesca. Should we give an example and also tell how we handled it?
Once again?
Should we give an example and also tell how we handled it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because this will be, you know, the real question, right? So the first question, give me an example, is to understand your capacity. So what is your perception of too much? Because what is too much for you, it's not so much for me, because we are different, we are diverse. So, and then the second question will be, for sure, how did you handle? So definitely you need to prepare for that.
Yes, I think that's the only question that we have. So
okay,
we can go.
Great. So I will move forward. Describe a situation that required you to work with a difficult client to provide a very high quality service. So this may be as well a bit more business related. So for somebody who has experience, but just guys, remove client and put a difficult professor. So think about an exam where you really had to, make it, and it was difficult to make it because everybody's afraid of this professor, or everybody knows that this subject is very, tough. I remember one exam in my university that was the one that, you don't get the bachelor if you don't pass this exam, and then you can take it with 20 or 18. This Italian rating, but some people they take only 25 plus. So this is this high quality. So it talks about yourself. You want to be perfect. So how to deal with it? And maybe some people will tell, I spent 1 year to prepare and to get 30. But then if it's a job where quality is not so important, this maybe will not tell that you are a good fit for the job, right? Because some people, to do something, they need to be perfect, so they need more time. And sometimes for certain job we don't have this time. We don't have this time. So we need to be quick, and we need to also accept sometimes to make mistakes, to not be perfect. So this is, I think, a good example that you can think about. And again, this will help you to know better yourself. Because when you are able to reply this question, you also can really understand more about your psychological profile, which kind of student you are, and which kind of professional you will be, okay? And you don't have to have an answer now, right? When you will start working, you will know better about yourself because you will learn. And this will never end. It's not ending for me. It will not end in 10 years for me. It's really always an open book. It's like we're writing the story of our life. And really, for me, this this is also telling about how to deal with difficult people, right? Because if a person is rude, for example, is unpolite, but still you are obliged to work with this person because you are professional, and you don't do for him, but you do because you are working for your employer. So even in a restaurant, when there is a bad customer, like, unpolite with you, what you will do, because sometimes, we cannot just say, go to hell. Not really, right? Especially in professional life. And sometimes, I had an episode in my life where a person was telling to a colleague, you're stupid. And for me, it was like, wow, this is unacceptable. You cannot tell to your colleague, it doesn't matter the level, if you are below, under, in terms of grade or hierarchy, you cannot tell that she's stupid or he's stupid. And this person was explaining, I am a honest person. I say what I think. Come on, this is not it's not okay. It's not fair. You can be honest, you can be transparent, but you need to take care about others. And you need to also share your opinion in a respectful way. If you think this person is stupid, you don't tell this person is stupid. You can maybe say what happened with this task, because this task should be done in a different way. You can try to understand, okay? But you cannot always say what you think. And of course, guys, don't misunderstand me. We need to be honest and transparent, but with respecting each other. This is very, very important, okay? Even when somebody is lacking us respect. So it's not easy to handle, I agree, but it pays back. Don't worry. And I can tell you that it always pays back. You will not ever regret when you are following this level and this way of conduct. Okay. If no questions, I will move to the next one. The section number 7, communicating and influencing. So this tells you a lot about your way to to drive a team, your leadership skills, and also your communication skills. And believe me, guys, nowadays, majority of job, communication is everything. Okay, the way we interact with other people, the way we match with other people. In some project I'm cooperating, sometimes the social skills are even more important than the hard skills. So you can maybe not be so good in certain thing you may learn, or still you may just be standard. But if you are a people person, if you are a good communicator, you will be appreciated, you will be an advantage for this team, and you may be a really good fit for certain team, because when we are hiring you, we are also thinking about how your profile will match with the team we have, and we're also telling you about which kind of team we have. So an example can be, tell me about time when you had to have a conversation with a coworker or customer with whom, for example, you had a language barrier. So nowadays in the international environment, we tend to speak English, okay? But not all of us maybe have this acceptable level of English. And sometimes maybe for someone or with someone, it can be an issue because we're really not able to communicate. So how did you handle? It doesn't have to be only a language barrier. It can be also a point of view barrier. So when you don't agree with something because of different culture, or because of different, even sometimes political views, right? We say that political should be out of work, and it should be, but political is also, it's our belief, right? So it's ourself. So we should also, it's difficult to hide or to control it, because it's who we are. The way we think, it's also the way, it's also who we are. So think about something when you had to face such a conversation, and the question will be how you did it. And this will also tell your way to face, interaction problem with your colleague. And I see a lot of examples of people, for example, coming to Poland, not speaking Polish, because you probably heard that Polish is not the easiest language in the world, and still communicating with Polish people. This it happens to me a lot, right? For me, sometimes you talk a little bit of English, a little bit of Polish, or you write down things, you try to to help yourself. And when they will see, for example, that you are open and trying, they will also be more open and trying. But when they will see that you don't really care, because there is a barrier and you cannot do anything with that, it will not work. And this will be also evaluated, assessed in the hiring process. I will move to the next, if no questions.
No, we don't have any questions yet.
Describe a time when you and your coworker encountered something that was difficult or uncomfortable to talk about. So this is also some, very delicate question, because it also connected with the ethical part. Because nowadays in the companies, we really look at diversity and at ethical conflicts very deeply and very carefully. So sometimes there are some topics that maybe it's hard to talk, but the solution probably will not be to just not talk. Because if there is a problem, we cannot hide this problem under the carpet, under or in the wardrobe and lock it there, because the problem is not solved. The problem is there. So it can be the way a person is talking to you, or it can even be the way a person is talking with your colleague. That maybe it's not an issue for this colleague, or maybe this colleague is not brave enough, or he doesn't realize, but it's an issue for you. Okay? How would you handle it? So tough questions, think about that, prepare on this question, because it tells again about yourself. It tells again about your maturity. It tells about the way you face problems, and you face something sometimes it's uncomfortable, and something uncomfortable can be even that you don't see yourself. good in this position, or you don't really understand this script or this, you know, technical language or whatever. Okay, so don't be afraid, don't be shy, and also when you talk, guys, give the example, describe a time, but also really always end with a solution. The way and tell stories, tell the reality, tell what happened, because this really will help yourself to know better yourself, and also will help to each other understanding. I see a question, right?
Yes, exactly, from Francesca. So she asked, what kind of uncomfortable things are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, very easy. It can be the way that, for example, a male colleague is talking to you or to a female colleague, and maybe, you know, giving some compliment. Oh, you're so beautiful today. Yeah, it can be nice, but it can be also bad perceived, impacting another person that is not getting this compliment, right? Or maybe it can put this person getting the compliment in an uncomfortable situation, because he or she will start thinking, why I'm getting this compliment. So maybe this is done in an innocent way, but maybe there is some, you know, I don't know, sexual harassment. You don't really know, right? And again, the sensibility, it changed from person to person. So this joke that you will be doing, it may not impact me, but it can be really impactful to another person. So I can tell you, different religion, right? You know, I am Muslim, I don't eat meat, or I'm just vegetarian, I don't eat meat. And in the team, we keep making jokes about you being not eating meat. There is a point, maybe this joke can be heavy. It can put me in an uncomfortable situation. And I'm talking about, you know, diversities, but it can be also about the work. We see that a person is really struggling with the task. And you know, this is taking a lot, doing mistakes. This is impacting others. But you don't want to talk about this. You are uncomfortable to talk about this because you are afraid that this person will feel like a personal attack, or you are afraid that this person will find himself in losing the job. It's tough. Okay, so what I would advise also, find a coach, find a mentor, talk with the closest person to you, and really look at your team leader, at your manager, at your professor. It depends, right? As a person you can talk with, because you know this person, you should trust this person, right? So for me, guys, trust, it's a very important value. I tend to trust even by default, right? But we need to, you know, to try to build trust around us, otherwise it will be hard. So these are some really examples that really happens in the real life. So any kind of, you know, uncomfortable examples. Did I somehow increase the understanding with this answer?
From my part, yes, but I think also from the participants as well.
Okay. Good. And this really can be also something that is happening at the university with your, I don't know, lecturer, with your professor, that you feel in an uncomfortable way. So it's always, you know, good to, you know, bring up problems instead of, you know, putting them down and putting, you know, stuff on it. And then, you know, this problem will pop up then suddenly and explode, right? And we don't want it. Describe a talk or a presentation that you gave recently. So this is also something, you know, very, I hope, easy. So some situation when you had to, you know, give a speech or present something that you have done, and also I would say add feelings. How did you feel? What makes you feel good during this presentation? Or maybe not, what didn't perceive by yourself as good, like you were, I don't know, embarrassed or whatever, right? So, or you were too much stressed. So this can be also something that, you know, you will talk about yourself. tell me about the time you had difficulties with answering ad hoc questions. So what it means ad hoc questions? It means very precise and specific questions. Because sometimes, even during an interview, we don't have an answer, right? Or maybe the answer is too much detailed and we have some difficulty. Okay, so in this case, it's really, it's maybe even a bit complicated to find examples, right? But what I recommend is always think about when you have some difficult questions or difficult situation and the way you approach them. This once again will tell about yourself, about the way you approach problems. Okay, guys. So now we are landing to the last section. That is, I think, the most important one. The one that for me it can make this selection, this assessment successful or not. Is your motivation. So for me, the motivation is the key. Is really the most important thing, because if I find a person motivated with the right motivation, I will, for sure, consider this person, and I will try to build on this person. So the first question can be, where did you find our job offer, and especially why did you decide to apply? Very open questions. What will be your answer? Because the job was interesting, because I have some experience, because I want to become a social media expert, and I think this job will help me to become this digital marketing guru, or because I was reading so much about your companies and I love your values, and I see myself like an employee in this company. There can be thousands of answers. So just get ready for those answers. Okay, so this, I think, an answer you will always get. Why did you decide to apply? What do you find interesting in this job? Another question can be, what would you like to achieve thanks to this job? So it tells a lot about your ambition, about your vision. And even if you are a junior, even if you are let's say a not expert, you should have already a vision, or you may have a vision, and you may have or should have an ambition. So it's good to share. It tells us. And sometimes there was this question like, what is your dream? And some people were saying like, I would like to open a company in the future. And this is a tricky answer, because if I'm going to hire you, but you want to open a company, maybe I will not hire you because you will leave me soon. But maybe if this opening a company is, explained like a side job or like a long term, I'm super fine to hire you because we do this together. And then maybe you will really enjoy this job and you will not leave me anyway. So it's not a disqualifier, right? In the past, it was somehow perceived like a disqualifier. I'm myself also changing my mind a bit on this. Now you can see that even a company like Amazon, they are even giving, incentives to employees if they open their own company. So they promote a lot this entrepreneurial attitude. And also when you look at other big companies like, I don't know, I think the biggest players now in the place where to work are companies like IKEA, like Luxottica. I'm talking about Italy, but in general, right? And you will see that, entrepreneurial attitude, it's always one thing that they value a lot. So to also mention that you would see yourself with your own business, if you tell in the right way, it's not a disqualifier and it tells good about you. So once again, check with yourself first, and then find also the right way how you think that this job will promote and will help you to build yourself. And when an employee of mine will run his own business, thanks also to what he learned after 5 years with me, maybe I will not be so much disappointed. I will be happy for him. He gave a lot, I receive a lot, he receives a lot. Happy ending. Okay, it's always a mutual decision, and sometimes we can just not change it. We lose this person anyway. So it's It's an interesting point of view. Okay, next question, very, very, very tricky. Describe us, but very important and very, since it should be also sincere. Describe us what kind of duties you like or you unlike at your previous position or in general. So if you're telling me, for example, I don't like numbers, I don't like mathematics, it doesn't cheer me up, it doesn't motivate me, and I know that this job, there's a lot of, or a big part of calculation or numbering or whatever. I mean, in theory, you should not even ever apply it, but maybe, it's something, it's maybe not so clear for you, whatever. It helps me and you to understand this is not the right job. Or for example, sometimes it's happening, when we have some specific hierarchy or, cooperating with people from other departments or other countries. I can give you an example. Some people were saying, like, I was asking, or I'm happy to apply for the job in Poland because Poland is a very developing country. There is a lot of opportunity to grow. I have a lot of friends that made a career there. So I prefer Poland compared to France or Germany. And the recruiter is like, okay, but we cooperate a lot with France. So you don't like to work with friends? With French people? What's the problem? And you're creating some, contrast. So maybe it's not even worth to say that you prefer Poland over France. What is the value in saying something like this? I would always focus on what you like. And then what you unlike, be careful with this, right? Because, if this is a stressful job, okay, you should be honest, but also should be a bit careful. Because I'll give you another example. We know that our job is stressful. It's a lot of tasks, a lot of client expecting things to be delivered, to be done. Nowadays, many jobs are stressful. And the person applying for this job is saying, what I don't like in my current job is there is too much stress. They are expecting things done very quickly, and I cannot bear it anymore. Maybe it's not written properly in the job description. I mean, it's written time task management, but maybe it's not so clear. I know my job is very stressful. I will not take you. And then it's fine. You will be fine. I will be fine, because we're not looking for each other. But this something, you should answer this question, especially before to apply for a job. Okay. What kind of factors are you taking into consideration when you're looking for a job? And this is really a key question as well, because some people will tell money. I'm not sure it's a good answer. Some person will be the international factors. It may be a good answer, because at the beginning we don't go just for money. At the beginning we really go for maybe an international environment, or maybe I'm looking for a boss, a leader that will understand me and will help me. I'm looking for a good environment with colleagues, or I'm looking for technology. I'm looking for opportunity to learn. There are a lot of factors that you may be interested according to your personalities. So this is also a very important question that you should prepare, no doubt. Key questions, my favorite. What makes you happy at work? So guys, take this question because it's really important. What makes you happy at work? I would even say, what makes you happy in life? Okay, it talks about yourself. When you are under an assessment process, a selection process, we want to know who you are, really who you are, what makes you happy. Okay, so try to make this kind of self-assessment with yourself. How would you describe yourself? Would you describe yourself more as a person who wants to work with people or with documents? Because usually we work with people and documents, with people and procedure, right? But sometimes, like, we want to know which kind of person you are more, right? So if you are more working with people, maybe I have the right job for you that is not the one we're talking about, but it's something else in some other department. Because maybe this document people is more about, it's a different, style of job. It's more for person that are caring about detail, accuracy, and maybe this people work is something that's more about building this atmosphere and, achieving something together. Every person has, different expectation, different, feature, and our duty, our, let's say, what we should expect from ourselves is to match the right person with the right job. It's your interest, it's our interest. I see a question, right?
Yes, it's one question from Clara. A friendly job environment, cooperative atmosphere, international environment. Could this work as an answer?
Absolutely. This is an answer because, when I moved to Poland, I didn't move to Poland for money. I moved to Poland because, it was an international company. It was Capgemini. It's one of the biggest consulting company in the world. And I was honored. I was proud to join such a company. And then when I went there, the first day of work, I see that it was like the Spanish speaker, the English speaker, the French speaker, the German speaker. And me, really, guys, I thought, wow, I am in Erasmus again. Because it was such an international environment, young people, and maybe also not so young as well, but it was great. And this, kept me there, even when I could move back to Italy, or I could take a job with a bit more money. This was motivating me. So for sure, these are good answers if they are true, of course, if this is really what you feel. Okay. Another question that you should ask to them is about which are the career possibility, or how you make your people grow. Most of times, the good companies, they have this information on their website, so you can check for them. But otherwise, you can ask, because it will also show that you have an ambition, that you see a future in the company. Okay, and their answer will also help you to understand if that's the right company for you, because every company has different policies in promotion, in how to grow. And in some company it's hard to grow, in some other company it's easy to get a career. Okay, so for sure these are important aspects and factors that we should assess, analyze, and describe when asked. Guys, this was the last one of our presentation. So I think that we can take, we have still some time, we can take this really to have open questions, open session. I'm here for you, and I will be really happy to answer any questions about the job market, the learning, interviews like we spoke in this last hour, 1 hour and a half, and anything.
I actually have one question for me until we have some questions popping on, maybe from the participants. So we're talking about motivation. How one recruiter can actually measure motivation? Like through what aspects? Like how can we measure that motivation for an interview?
Okay, so measure it. Of course, we don't measure with numbers or with with a real metric. I think what we do, we assess motivation. And I give you an example. I have a person from Netherlands that is now working in Greece and applying for a job in Poland. And I asked this person, you are in Greece now, why you apply for Poland? And he's telling me, I'm applying for Poland because I've never been there and I want to discover this new country. Fine, I take it as an answer, but then what I could expect is also that, after 1 year in Poland or 2 years in Poland, this person will be maybe tired of Poland and will like to discover another country, right? So is it motivated? Yes, he's motivated now to come to Poland, but he doesn't have maybe a real reason to come to me and do this job. He only will take any job in Poland to change something. So for me, when it's such kind of answer, I don't understand really the real motivation. So I try to dig a bit. And maybe, sometimes it pops up that he has a Polish girlfriend or she has a Polish boyfriend. okay, so it's fine for me. It helps me that it's not just traveling or discovering a new country, but there is also, a more concrete reasons. He wants to come to Poland to settle with his future wife. So he wants to settle down, he wants to stabilize. So you will tell me, Marco, but is it not a private info? Yes, it's a private info, and I will not ask for this. I'm not supposed to ask for that, and I will not. But if you're telling me, it helps me to understand your real motivation. So for me, it's really always about the connection between you and the job you're applying for. Because when you are, applying for a job in my company, but this job is really can be other jobs in other companies, maybe I know that, it can be a bit tricky, right? So it's about what do you like. So it's not really something, we measure, but it's something, we feel. And sometimes we also need to make some assumptions, and we need to ask. So we are also in charge to ask you to better understand what is driving you to, to take this job, to apply for this job.
Thank you very much. So
Welcome.
now we have one question from Francesca. A typical question is, why should we choose you? How to answer without sounding arrogant?
I think you can really answer without being arrogant. So it means that, I will not ask, okay, let's start from what does it mean being arrogant. So for me, being arrogant, it means because I'm the best in this job. It's not on you to say that you are the best. Okay, let others say that you are the best. So this will be arrogant. How to answer in a good way? Ask yourself why you should be, because you see yourself aligned with the values, because you really love, for example, to get the job done, and you think that this for example, I talk about the job I'm dealing with. So in my work, for example, there are some processes that really you are in charge from A to Z of a life cycle of a product, of our delivery, right? So for me, this is something, it makes people proud. So, and me personally, I also always liked to get things done. Doesn't matter what. I like to get things done. And I like, to get control on things and get rid of problems. And this, drives me. It helps me, right? It motivates me. So for me, it's really like, really check with yourself, ask yourself why you are good for this job. And if you don't really find answers, ask twice. Really try to dig a bit more, make an effort, because if you don't know this, how we should know? It's if you're not even able to tell, how should we know? So I think you should really focus on this kind of question, and don't worry about being arrogant. Just be yourself and talk about yourself.
We have one more question from Marta. So maybe off topic, but what would you value as a recruiter in terms of experiences in a CV of just a graduated student, such as charity work or international experiences, languages spoken?
So for me, any experience is valuable. Okay, even a 10 days YAF program integration, it's valuable. So it's worth to add. Okay, of course, you already probably learned about this on Tuesday about how to make a CV, personalize the CV according to the job you're applying. Okay, and what I can advise you, when you do some work experience, try to make it at least 6 months. Okay, because 6 months is really when you can learn something and become good. 3 months is really the minimum. Okay, like this Erasmus internship. So in 3 months, maybe the first month you will learn, the second, the third, you will have chance to apply what you have learned. But really, I don't recommend this, experience just 1 month or 2 months. It's not enough. It's not enough to learn, and it's not really valid. You will not have so much to talk about when you're then going for the next job. So for sure, all these activities you have done, charity or volunteers, add them, and also watch out the way you add them on the CV. Because I give you an example. Somebody was working in Subway in London and just put on the CV, applying for sales representative in Prague. And this person was like doing sandwiches. And we were coaching this person saying, it's not relevant writing that you were doing sandwiches, but better write dealing with customers, because you were attending people and giving the sandwich. You were working in Subway or McDonald's, whatever. So it's a good experience because you were working abroad, challenging yourself, living abroad, learning English. So it's a good thing to say. But if you change the way you're presenting it, then it was a sales job. It took the job in Prague, thanks to this feedback. So it was very grateful to us. So, this is an example like how also the form helps in when you are applying for something.
Thank you. So we have one more question from Clara. How is it seen if in my case I have a degree in environmental economics and I'm looking for my first internship abroad in this field after doing kind of an internship collaboration with the international office at my Erasmus universities? I don't know if I made myself clear. That's what she's saying.
Okay, so let's repeat the question.
So she's saying that she has a degree in environmental economics and she's looking for her first internship abroad in this field. But she's done a kind of internship collaboration with the international office of her Erasmus University. So how is this seen, I guess? I didn't quite understand the question as well, but maybe how is it perceived by recruiters, or if she's looking for an internship abroad in
Okay, so for sure, I think she can also clarify this in the chat, but maybe the first comment I will say that, environmental economics, I think it's a cool subject because guys, nowadays climate and environment are really important. So I'm pretty optimistic that you will be able to find something. And what I can tell you is like, I'm not sure if you will study again, but if you're done with your studies, don't just go for an internship, try to go even for a job. Okay. So I think that, it can also, some people there, I don't know why just focus on internship, but it's even fine, it's even better. And sometimes companies prefer to offer a job instead of internship. So don't be always open if possible. Do you have some clarification on this?
No, sorry. So now we have one question from Jessica. I know that usually it's not so well seen if you don't choose between two options in an interview, but seeing the question, are you more a person who likes to work with person or document? We still need to choose, or is there a good way to say that we feel good in both ways?
Okay, so there is nothing bad in saying that we feel good in both ways. So in this moment, I just, I will open the chat as well, so it will help me. So I think you can see me now. And so which is this question?
It's the question from Jessica. Yeah, it's a bit long, so that's why it's not the last one previous.
Okay, I see it at 6:47. So I know that usually it's not so well seen if you don't choose between two options in interview. But since the question, okay, no, you don't need to really choose. You can explain why you see yourself both in good in both. Just explain it. Help the other person to understand for which, and actually it's good to say that you are good in both, because there are pros and cons in everything. So you can say, I think I will be good in this because of that, but I also do not dislike that because of that. So this is the way that I would answer.
And we have one question from Juanjo. So about looking for a job in Poland, it can be decisive the fact that you don't know Polish. I'm talking about financial environment.
No, guys. With big shame, I will tell you, I'm in Poland 9 years. My Polish is still A1 level. Okay, so no one is perfect. So mea culpa. I never dedicate to study Polish, but I grow as a professional. I build a career in Poland, and I will learn, of course, sooner or later. But Polish is not needed, as is not needed, Bulgarian or I don't know, even Spanish or Italian. It depends from the job. So you will always find in the job description what are the requirements. Of course, if you want to work in Poland in governmental institutions in finance and Polish is required, it will be hard. But I even know, doctors working in Poland without such a big Polish skills, because there are some universities, they are run in English, right? So for sure, don't create yourself problems, try to solve them. And my suggestion is always look about, the solution, and do not undermine yourself with constraints, because nothing is impossible, and even you can learn Polish in at a certain point. And here we have a lot of examples here in Katowice, where I'm located, but in Poland in general, that it's a lot of opportunities. And I can mention there will be also this talent match, I think guys, with Garage Erasmus, where you will have this opportunity to get a job from Poland, but also in Lithuania, Spain, Italy. I'm sure that maybe Carlo will also mention about this.
Thank you. So we have no more questions. I'm not sure if there are some coming up. So guys, any comments, any questions that you...
Yeah, Marco, otherwise my last questions will be my question as usual. But let's see, Eugenio is writing something.
I think it's some technical questions about the recording. So it's not for me.
To this we will be replying now in the next minutes. So Marco, thanks so much for your contribution to this week. My idea of the foundation was to close the week with your workshop, because it was a little bit the wrap up of all what has been said and mentioned during the previous days. And I would like to ask you before wrapping up, that this Erasmus is kind of different from the others, because it's an Erasmus that in most cases our participants are living remotely. Social activities are really limited. So it's a new kind of Erasmus that we hope will not become, let's say, the rule, the ordinary type of Erasmus, but this year it is like this. So which kind of suggestion would you give to our participants on how to take out the best from this year, that maybe in which maybe they're a little bit down with their expectations?
So for me is for sure, to be efficient, investing the right time, if they get free time, because they cannot interact so much among them, to for sure build a LinkedIn profile. So this is my, and I'm writing also on the chat about if you will look for a job, guys, don't underestimate LinkedIn, because this is really will be the tool that you will need to build according to your experience, and you will put the little experience. And this, when you will be graduated after your Erasmus, one of the most important thing that you will have to talk, it will be your Erasmus. So even if it's a different one, and we know that, you will have something to talk about, because you can already say, I was living in a stressful or different situation. It helps me to grow. Okay, and this different Erasmus, that could be something you could be sad or disappointed, make it become your strength. Okay, make it become your what you can talk about during your first or next interview. It will become one of your strengths. Not only the Erasmus, but really what Carlo is saying, this different Erasmus, make it become your luggage of experience that you don't have yet, but you have somehow have done thanks to this experience abroad. That of course it's a very big asset for looking for an international work abroad. You are on mute, I think, Carlo. We cannot hear you.
Okay, yeah, now I have deactivated the audio. Yeah, we hope that the really Erasmus program will be relaunched now in the next 7 years, because now we are at the kind of turning point for the next 7 years, and that we'll be able to start to travel without restrictions and so on. Now I will give to our participants some important guidelines for the next steps, and with these guidelines, I'm sure we will be able to respond to all the procedural questions you were asking during this event, during today's workshop, and during the previous ones. So, first of all, Marcel is posting many times links to our social media. We need you to follow our social media, Facebook and Instagram especially, because there is the place where you will find the indications for the next events of the Plus of Erasmus. Plus of Erasmus is a project that started already in December that will be with us until the end of May. And some surprises are coming up. But follow our social media. So garagErasmus, especially on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and also we are on LinkedIn. And thanks, Marcel, for your job. Marcel is our communication manager. Marcel was guaranteeing that this week together went smoothly.
Always great, Marcel.
Then on the 3rd of March, so we're talking about next Wednesday, we will have the Talents Match. The Talents Match is going to be an important event where you will be able, in some cases for the first time, to approach international companies and to approach their recruiters. You will find the vacancies that these companies are opening and have been posting on their websites, and you will have the chance, just applying to the link that we send you, to have an interview with the recruiters. On one side, in case that the interviews goes well, then you will be recontacted by the recruiters, by the companies, to have a proper interview with them, maybe to be hired. We had some cases of our participants in past editions that were hired by the companies, and they were just applying as a joke, just to try to make a try. But in any case, we'll be able already to experiment the things that you learned in these weeks. So I would really not miss this Talents Match event. Of course, the participation is for free, like all the Plus of Erasmus project. Another important point, Marcel will post now the link to the evaluation form for the Learning Garage. We had 5 sessions with 5 different speakers. We are planning already the 2nd edition of the Learning Garage in the month late April or beginning of May. The dates will follow soon. And we really need to know how is your feedback regarding the different speakers. If you liked Marco, give Marco a high evaluation. If you didn't like what Marco and the way that Marco gave you the workshop, feel free to tell this to us. And this will be important also to our speakers, because our idea is to really improve the level of this format that garagErasmus is launching together with the National Agency Indire, National Agency of Erasmus+. Regarding the registrations of the sessions, they will be available to who followed the 80% of the sessions. This means to who followed at least 4 sessions out of 5. Of course, we have all the data that will tell us who was really following and who was jumping in and out from the Zoom calls. So please, what we ask you is that once you have filled the evaluation form, this is also a requirement to get the registrations, please send to us an email to the link to the email that Marcel will post now in the chat, asking to get the registrations of the all sessions or of a specific session as well. We will see what is going to be the most practical way to make these registrations available to you. I feel these are all the info that I have to give you, but write me in the next seconds in the chat if there is something that we are missing, because information are multiple, and of course, for sure, we were missing something up. Thanks also to Carmen, that is the beginning of her experience with garagErasmus, and that is started, and that really started with an intense and important program with us. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much for being with us this week.
Thank you for offering me the chance.
So next. Thank you, and don't miss this opportunity. Thank you so much. It's 7 p.m., so we are perfectly on time. And have a nice weekend, everybody. We hope that these sessions were something interesting to you and help us to improve what garagErasmus is doing every day. Thank you very much.